I don't- Right, okay, so let's just go live stream. Let's start with a live stream. Is it just been raining in Bradford, or has it been raining where you are too, bro?
Yeah, it rained actually before lunch. It's
Ah,
very come and go, this rain. It really is. But I
it
see at the
is.
weekend and next week it's getting hotter and hotter, back up towards 30,
That's what they said.
Let's hope
what they
so.
say.
Let's hope so. I've had enough of this rain nonsense.
Yeah, it's been torrential.
It's just that it's been start and stop, like you said. It's not just rained and stopped. It's just been a bit annoying.
Monsoon like.
Uh, okay. So um, start virtual camera. Right. Okay. So, Bruv, do you want to do the opening remark for this one, please, for us?
Yep. Good afternoon to our listeners and viewers. This is the Football Referee podcast with me, Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv.
And myself, Emmy Hickens, and he calls me Cos.
And
That was
So,
going first.
I'll go. I'm back. Tony, the enforcer.
and we got the Brummie King as well.
Yeah, I just love the Brahmin key. I told him he'll stick. Ask Tony. He sticked with him.
I know. That's it.
Yeah,
Finished.
yeah.
Said enforcer once. That's it. It's stuck.
Right, so let's start with Graham Potter. Um, I didn't know that he was contracted for the Swedish managerial job. Did
That's it.
did we know that? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yep,
I only,
yep.
I only just found
Few
out
months,
today.
few months ago.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. I was wondering where he was. I thought, where's Graham Potter? What do we think of Graham Potter at this stage? And what do we think of Sweden?
Well, yeah, Graham Potter. I mean, I think he used to manage a club in Sweden as well some years ago. So he's very au fait with the language, which is a good start. And yeah, after his issues in the Premier League, I mean, firstly with Brighton, he did pretty well there. Let's face it. Although they didn't win anything, but he created a good, possession type football side. Good enough though to impress the owners of Chelsea. And he went there. I mean, I think he was. I think he was there about 6 months, as far as my memory is concerned. But he was then sacked. He was given a contract, a long contract on £12 million a year. So it was a massive salary. I think it was a 5 or 6 year contract. So he did about 6 months. And then, as far as, I mean, what do we know? But as far as I remember at the time, they carried on paying him at least for a year, possibly a bit more than a year. And during
Mm,
that time, I'm not sure that he was actually technically able to get another job or whatever. But obviously, when he did get another job, I guess his Chelsea money, ex salary stopped. But yeah, I think he didn't seem to do well at Chelsea. And of course, he then went on to just remind me, where did he go on to then? It
West
was
Ham.
West Ham.
West Ham, wasn't it? Yeah. And that
Mm,
wasn't a great success, shall we say. So, in a way, he seemed to lose some of his currency, then only to be taken on by Sweden. I mean, they probably knew him from the past, as I say. And on balance, I think he's obviously got something as a manager. There's a good manager in there, as we might say. For
mm,
me, he always lacked a little bit of visible passion. Now, that may not mean he doesn't have passion for his football. He may be a
mm,
different character away from the television camera when he's being interviewed. But
mm.
maybe I like to see in any manager a little bit of anger if things go wrong, or just a bit of, as I say, passion for their game, for their team, for their job. And I think Potter, when he was losing the games that he lost, he wasn't sort of helping himself because as I say, people need, including the owners, they need to see somebody
Mm.
who's determined to put this right. Okay, maybe that's just an image of the front of a person, but I think he's a good manager. It'd be interesting to see how Sweden gets on. Yeah, so that's Graham Potter for me.
Yeah. Tony, the enforcer.
I would say the same thing, really, as Trevor said. Um, yeah, he didn't really have the best. From what I remember, his West Ham career is the main one I remember.
Hmm.
Wasn't really the best. So I would say, I mean, he was. I think he was okay at Chelsea. Like I don't really remember it,
Hmm.
but his West Ham career wasn't the best at all.
No, no,
He was.
wasn't.
I think he was there from what 25, and then even then he wasn't there long, anyways.
Yeah,
So yeah. I mean, they were saying for a while to have him as the England coach.
Hmm.
You know, but I mean, Tuchel
Hmm.
got the job in the end. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's down to FIFA on the English board, should I say? Uh,
Yeah.
they know which direction they want to go.
yeah.
Granted, we don't exactly
Mm.
know what squad he would have played recently. Might have been
Yeah.
better, to be fair, but yeah, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. England dodged the bullet there, didn't we, bro?
Mm,
Mhm.
I
England,
said
what?
England dodged the bullet
Dodged
there.
a bullet. Yeah, I don't think he would have been particularly popular if he'd
No,
come to the England job. Not, I don't think he was disliked. I mean,
no.
if you go back to Chelsea, I believe his first few games they won. He did quite well at the beginning of it,
Mm,
and then it
mm,
kind of unravelled a bit. But yeah, maybe an international manager's job is going to suit him better because he's
mm,
not got the day-to-day running, etc., etc. Maybe he's good at the overview. I don't know. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't really, I wouldn't have wanted him for the England job personally.
No.
Um, but yeah, maybe Sweden he'll do very well.
Yeah. Jerome, Graham Porter. You know much about him?
Not the enforcer, you mean Brummy King?
Jerome, yeah, yeah. Brahmi King. Yeah, the Brahmi King. Yeah. I think
Get it
your volume
right,
has
cuz.
gone down.
Yeah, hello. Can you
Yeah, I
hear
can
me?
hear you now. Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
I don't really know much about Porter,
No.
but the chances of the Swedish team in that group, it's it's my opinion
Mm,
because the group entails Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. Though
okay.
they got some good players like Isak, Elanga, and some
Mm,
promising players, but it's a really tight group. Yeah,
no.
sincerely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about the chances. I don't want to
No.
be dismissive, yeah, but
No. No.
it's a very tight group for the Swedes.
Yeah. Do we know any of their good players, Sweden? Good players?
Gyökeres, Isak,
With Isak,
Glasner.
Elanga,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Isak. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's hope he do we know if Isak is selected? Is
Yeah,
he
he
selected?
played the other day. He was actually he
Oh,
got
did
a
he?
goal. He got a really good goal, to be fair.
All right, that's
But to
good.
be fair,
Oh,
Sweden's only there because of a technicality for Nations League. They
yeah.
didn't win one game during the qualifiers at all.
Yeah.
Not one.
No.
Not one.
Wow.
So
Well,
they shouldn't even be
Yeah.
there technically, but they got there on
wow.
the technicality because of the Nations League. So
Well, it'd be a surprise they got to the finals then.
it'll be a very big surprise.
Wild card. Right. Okay. So we go over to you, bro. Negotiations on the way between Crystal Palace and RC Lens for Pierre
Yeah.
Sage, to become
Yes.
the new head coach
Manager.
for. He says head coach. Now, does that
Yeah.
mean he's
Manager.
not really a manager yet? Head
I think
coach?
that we said before, haven't we? There is a
Yeah.
differential between manager and
Yes.
head coach, and I
Yes.
think that is purposefully done. Now, in the past, I mean, Glasner was the manager, and our previous people, Roy Hodgson, etc., have been the
Mm,
manager, quite clearly nominated as the manager. Now, yeah, head coach does infer something slightly different,
mm,
which obviously suggests that, as previously, really, there's a separate role in
mm,
selecting players from wherever they scout them out. And of course, we used to have Doogie Friedman, the Scotsman who used to play for
yeah.
Palace, And really, he was responsible with whatever team he had as
Yeah.
director of football for the likes of Glasner, Michael Elise, who again
Mm,
scored another fabulous goal the other night in
mm,
the warm-up games, because he's at Bayern Munich,
mm,
and Mark Gay.
mm,
These players really came through from the director of football, Dougie Friedman, and Eze's another one. We got him from QPR, I think.
mm,
So it's an important role. Now, I'm not quite sure that our current director of football, I'm not sure who it is. I know there is one, but they don't
mm,
seem to name him. But as long as he's got a similar setup to Dougie Friedman, I've got confidence. But I imagine that Pierre Sage, I don't know how you pronounce that last bit,
mm,
he's got a good track record. He's coming over from Lens in France. And what I've read about him is very encouraging from Palace's point of view. And yeah,
mm,
normally you get these rumours, you read about it, and you say, "Well, I'll believe it when it happens." This time, it seems to be progressing properly. That he's agreed, personal terms, and he's had this, that, and the other. So yeah, I'm very hopeful because it
mm,
sounds good to me to get someone with a good history, a good track record, especially in another league in another country. So
mm,
I think I probably speak for most Palace fans when I say that yeah, if this happens, it'll be really good. He knows his
mm,
stuff. I think the Palace have done their due diligence on managers generally. They know what they want, and they've
mm,
done it. If it happens in the next few days,
mm,
just before the World Cup gets going, that's brilliant because then the team is ready after the World Cup to come back and the new manager's there and all that goes with that. So,
mm,
yeah, I'm very optimistic this is going to happen.
mm. Just while I still got you there, Oliver Glasner, the departing
Yeah.
manager, he says despite links with Feyenoord job, Glasner gives priority to AC Milan. Um, now, do we
Yeah,
think you think he'll
I've
get the
seen
job?
this. I've seen the same thing that there is an
Yeah,
apparent connection with, or a possible connection with AC Milan. Obviously, something's
exactly.
being looked into.
Mm,
I don't know. Not sure what his mindset was. He didn't really let on too much about what he wants to do,
no.
except I believe he said he wanted to go and watch one of his daughters. She plays a very high level. I think it's in hockey. I could be wrong on that, but
Mm,
she plays at a good level, and he wanted to go and see her in certain competitions somewhere in the summer months. Well, that wouldn't preclude him taking a football job. So, and I think he will because I think he lives off of the achievement that he's very good at getting at whichever club he's been at. Although we
mm,
had a bit of a rocky time earlier in the year with things he said. He
mm,
is loved by Palace, all of us Palace fans, because he's given us trophies and he's given us moments. Life is made up of moments, isn't it? For all of us, personal and professional and all the rest of it. He's given us moments that will live in the memory, in the mind for the rest of our lives because we
mm,
perhaps never thought we'd see Palace win a European trophy, the FA Cup, the Community Shield in the
mm.
space of 12 months. It's quite
Yeah,
incredible.
it
So he's got
is.
a very good stock, and he'll be snapped up by somebody because he's clearly a very good tactician and a very good manager of people who brings out the talents of footballers who might otherwise be a little bit ordinary. He's got
Yeah.
something which makes people believe in what they can do.
Hmm. Hmm. Unless the Brommy King or the Enforcer has anything to say about that, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he'll do well in it. Yeah, I think he'll do all right.
Yeah.
I'll let Jerome speak.
Yeah, Jerome.
yeah, I was just gonna ask, why? Okay, prior to him, yeah, did Crystal Palace try to consider any other coach,
Mm.
any of the other coaches?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean
yeah.
they've been linked with a few, I think, but nothing that seems to have been definitive at all. I mean, this
Mm.
is the first one in their search that really has sounded like it can happen, and I think it suggests that Palace knew Glasner was going to go in October last year. It
Mm.
became public when Glasner made it clear in February he wasn't staying.
Mm.
And so the club have had all that time, frankly, albeit in the European competition, which we then won. They've had all that time to try and sort out a succession here, a succession of Glasner. And it looks as though they've done it, because this guy is pretty much the only one I've read who could. I mean, you get rumours, oh, they're looking at this person or that, but nothing that is serious. But so I think they've done their diligence, and it looks as though if he joins Palace, then I'd have to say that the owners have done a very good job.
Because I heard from grapevine that Palace was looking into Lampard, but there was a 5 million compensation fee that they didn't want to pay or something.
He was mentioned. He was definitely mentioned early on, and clearly Frank Lampard has done a very good job at Coventry to get them up. I think they won the division, didn't they?
Yes.
And whereas in the past, I mean, he was sacked at Chelsea as well. He didn't do too badly at Derby, but he's not really shone like he clearly has at Coventry. But again, I'm not sure why. I never felt there was a great rush to get him from the fans' point of view. If he'd come, I think we would have, as always, welcomed him and believed in him. It's good to have more young managers around nowadays, and not the usual kind of, or what used to be the merry-go-round of managers who seem to swap clubs. So I think Lampard, be interesting to see how well he does in the Premier League if he stays at Coventry, which he probably will, because often it can find managers out. I mean, what's the name? Scott Parker, and I think he's a very good manager, but he seems to be a very good manager in the Championship. You know, he brought up Burnley, didn't he? Was it Burnley? I think it was. And he didn't quite make it, as we know. So there's a difference managing Premier League players and the standard of football in the Championship. There's a big gulf. So it'll be interesting to see how Frank Lampard does again when he's in a Premiership, managing a Premiership side.
So we move to you now, the enforcer, Tony. 40-year-old Luka Modric still scoring for Croatia.
Yeah.
Now, 40 years old. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the same age with Ronaldo? Is it?
Same, more or less same age, yeah.
Yeah, same age with Ronaldo, yeah.
Yeah, same age.
What are we thinking about Modric at this? Are we thinking he's going to retire after the World Cup? Is he got continuity? Do you think he's going to go up to 45, playing up to when he's 45 years old?
I honestly think if he said so, I honestly think he could play. He's that type of player that the older they get, the better they are.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think he has said that this is more or less his last World Cup. So, I mean, it is sad because, he's the reason why we are even, known to everyone. If it wasn't for Modric, we wouldn't be at the stage where we've been. We wouldn't have been in second. We wouldn't have been in third. And I like. Oh, sorry, 1 second. If it wasn't for Modric, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I watched the match, and his goal when he went in, I was cheering my head off. I was happy, as you know. So for him to be 40 years old and still scoring goals like he's 20 something years old, it's honestly, it's what's the term now? We're grateful for it, because a lot of our youngsters, as good as they are, they still need that little experience in taking a shot. Because that was what our problem was on a Sunday. And they were brilliant passing, I'll be honest, passing backwards and forwards, but nothing came of it. You can pass all you want, but unless you're not taking a shot, or you're thinking, okay, you know what, that player's gonna go up ahead, I'm just gonna throw a little ball over there and see what he does with it. None of that happened. And with Modric, when he's playing, he's always constantly scanning, seeing where's everyone. And then if he sees Perisic on the wing, or if he sees even Stanisic on the wing as well, if he sees either of them on the wing or anybody in the middle like Kramaric, he'll be like, oh, boom, straight pass to him, he'll get the goal. Job's done, So we need a lot more Modric's, just in the world in general. If we have more Modric's, football would be a lot more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerome, do you know much about Modric?
Yeah, I do watch him play for initially Madrid before going to is it AC Milan, one of
Yeah,
the Milan teams.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a very good player, and at his age, he's still doing very good. My first encounter with Croatian football, I remember just one player that stood out for me. That was Davor Suker.
Mm.
I used to love that guy. He was, yeah. I'm not trying to compare both of them, but
No.
yes, yeah. But Modric, yeah, playing that good at this age, coming for the next World Cup. I think no. Personally, I wouldn't advise him. Yeah, it's
Mm.
good to bow out when the ovation is still loud. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but he is a very good player.
Yeah. It is. Well, bruv, do
Yeah,
you know any?
I second what Jerome and Tony have both said, that he was an
Mm.
excellent player, 40 years old, but he's
Mm.
kind of he's quite, I don't know the word is slight. Physically, he's light and a bit slight, not
Mm.
underweight, but I think someone who is not a big frame can last
Mm.
longer in the game. I mean, we know Ronaldo even is pretty tall and skinny.
Mm.
So he's very much physically the kind of player who could go on playing. And I think, as I think Tony implied,
Mm.
the older these players get, that kind of player, say midfield, is not going to be necessarily doing box to box on the field.
Mm. Mm.
They can play into later years, no doubt about it, because their skill, their awareness, their football brain is good enough, and it gets better. They
Mm.
make the ball do the work. I mean, any good midfield player will make the ball do the work. So they save themselves having to do that. So, yeah, I'd never be surprised if one of these guys, one of these days, does go well into their 40s, certainly up to their mid 40s. It may seem a bit fanciful to say that because of the pressure, the pace of the game generally. But I
Mm.
think the skillful players have got something which enables them to go on. And Modric was always excellent at Tottenham. I mean, it was always a shame for them that they lost him. Excellent
Mm.
footballer.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not surprised he's playing for Croatia again.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised either. The guy's but that still doesn't mean that Croatia is going to do well in the World Cup, dear Enforcer Tony.
Doesn't it?
Uh,
Not getting to the finals and getting to this to the quarterfinals meaning nothing, huh?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Now,
mean it.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. Are we, is 40 the new 25 now in football?
No chance.
Not
Is that
really,
what we're
no.
seeing? Uh,
Maybe the new 30, because 30 is
yeah,
always a benchmark, isn't it? Or they've
yeah.
reached 30, and you start to think, well, 32, 33, which is where Harry Kane is about now, that's
Mm,
when they tail off. But when you are a striker like Harry Kane,
mm,
he will lose a bit of pace
yeah.
as the next 2 or 3 years come. So that 30, maybe 40 is the new 30. Yeah, I can go
Oh,
along with that, I think.
oh,
Yeah.
it's good. Now, on the next 40-year-old player, Cristiano Ronaldo is now the first athlete to ever hit $2 billion in career earnings while still actively playing. Wow. 2 billion. That's like a country's budget.
Yeah.
2 billion, yeah. And he's still playing. It's still
It
very
is.
much very much out there, isn't it? Now, let's look at some of the rules that has been brought in for this FIFA World Cup. Okay, so FIFA's new rules for the 2026 World Cup. The first one, he says substituted players have 10 seconds to leave the pitch. If they take longer, their replacement must wait 1 minute. What do we think about that?
I think it's good. It literally stops time wasting, and that's how a lot of teams, waste the time when they're winning.
Mm,
Argentina did the exact same thing, just in general, just how they play style are. That's what they do.
mm,
So stopping teams time wasting is better because you could be, let's say, 1-0 up, and all that one other team just needs one more goal in the last minute, and that's it. You go to extra time, and
mm,
if you're stopping them from doing that, you're not really going to get the chance, are they? So cutting time where you're wasting actual game time. It's good. It's beneficial for all of football in general.
Yeah, bruv.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against it, isn't it, really? Because we see, I mean, it is farcical in the last, depending on the score at the time, I guess, but
Mm.
the last 5, 10, 15 minutes, certainly if a team is 1-0 up or whatever, and then there's a substitute, they sort of go around shaking players' hands. Some go to the ref and shake the ref's hand. I never quite get that, just to delay the time it takes to get off the pitch. So, yeah, it's going to be. I think a very good rule. And you try and think 10 seconds, is that actually reasonable? Now they don't
Mm,
have to walk all the way over to where the substitutes are coming on, do they? They can leave the pitch where they
mm.
are, basically. So it should be a reasonable time length for them to do that. I think it's a really good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Jerome?
Yeah, they said it though. There's nothing else to say. Just
Yeah.
helped crack down on time wasting and
Mm,
keep the match going. That's a
yeah.
good thing.
Yeah. So as soon as they see their number, you better start running.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nearest exit.
Literally.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So the second one, he says throw-ins and goal kicks will have a 5-second countdown. If the ball isn't back in play, the ball is given to the opposition. This one's a bit. What do we think about this one,
I love
bruv?
it. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'll start with you, bruv, please.
Yeah. Now, when we talked about this a few weeks ago, I think I took the same view, I'm glad to say, as I think I'm taking now.
Yeah.
I'm all for speeding these things up, as I said about substitutions,
Yeah.
but because you do see them hanging about on the touchline, you know, as if they're going to throw it and then they don't, and then they walk half the way up the touchline with the ball and so on. So it's good to
Mm,
clamp down on it. What I do think though is because players do tend to be marked quite heavily from a throw in,
yeah.
it seems ridiculously quick because what they're going to, as soon as they ready, presumably the countdown will start from when they've got the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
So they've really got to do it straight away because the ball's got to
Mm,
get in play. So that really takes away, in most circumstances, the option of just safely throwing it to one of your own players because very often they're sort of running around trying to get unmarked or whatever.
mm,
So yeah,
mm,
if it's going to stop time wasting, that's good. I think
mm,
I think possibly I would have still gone for the 10 seconds
mm,
because although it just gives the player a chance to do something meaningful with the ball.
mm.
Otherwise, they're just going to have to pick it up and throw it. And it'll be interesting to see how strict the refs are on that because even they're going to hover around that 5 second mark. Oh, it's only just gone over. It just
Mm.
seems too quick to me, but it'll be interesting to see how it works in practice.
Yeah. Well, Jerome, we can't hear you.
I think I agree with Trevor on that one. Just
Yeah.
5 seconds. I played football when I was a bit younger, and just picking the ball and throwing it within 5 seconds. You need to, the team needs to strategize, right?
Mm,
And you just don't throw. You need to throw it to your man, and you need to make sure the person is like your
mm,
teammate is, kind of in a position whereby the opponent doesn't pick the ball. I think the 5 seconds might, to me, might be too. I think the 10 seconds should have been, I think, okay.
mm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like 10 seconds. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
like
what do you
it
mean?
goes like that.
Yeah. What do you mean when you said when you was a bit younger? You're still 17, aren't you?
Well,
Yeah. So the
yeah.
enforcer.
I don't know.
It
I
did
feel
call you.
like
It
five
did
seconds.
call. Sorry.
I feel like 5 seconds is enough. In my opinion, you're
Yeah.
already more or less most of the time. If you're kicking the ball out, it is to time waste. It's not really to like say, "Oh, you're defending." Sometimes it is when you see them slide tackle, ball goes out. Fair enough.
Mm,
But most of the time, it is just time wasting. And I feel like 5 seconds is enough. You already can see your players all around you. And plus, it means if they already know the law with the new rule, it means that,
mhm,
okay, switch on. We don't have a lot of time. So they're all going to be pushing up anyways.
Yeah.
marking, running around. So you can be, look, while you're going, they can be like, okay, I can see a few who are running around. Pick
Yeah.
the ball, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. That's it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
I feel like it's fair enough, But
Yeah.
overall, I think those rules are good, especially because they're getting enforced in the Premier League as well. So that means like Arsenal can't just waste time and get every single corner possible now. So this is why I'm saying I love this new rule that's coming in, because it's just going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant. Arsenal's going to go down again. This is going to be great.
Okay, let's assume it's like a counter attack, yeah, and you're the only one up front. All your teammates are at the back, and
Yeah.
opponent the ball goes to throw in, yeah. So
Yeah.
how long do you think it's gonna take your opponents to get to the opponent's pitch before you throw the ball?
Learn to throw long. Long
Right.
throws are coming in more
Yeah.
and more now,
Yeah.
Premier League. If you don't
That's
know,
true.
you should
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, I'll
Yeah.
be
Well,
honest.
we need
I'm
to
not the
put
best
some of
thrower, but I can throw
these
far.
things into consideration.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it favors your team, you'll be like, oh, good. But the day it goes against your team, then you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where
Yeah.
training comes in play. Train against it, learn how to get over it. Train your players how to throw long. Train your players how to come quick. This is the whole point of
This is
football.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
They're getting
Yeah.
paid to do this.
As long as it
I'm
gets
not getting
as
paid.
long as it gets Arsenal, the enforcer is okay.
Any of the top big six, as long as he gets rid of them, I don't care.
So I was
I mean,
watching.
the
I was
other thing,
yeah. Go on.
the other thing on the throw, what it might be designed to stop. If you think the long throw now has come back very much into fashion with a
Yeah.
lot of teams, probably most teams. And of course, so when the ball goes out of play, even halfway into the opponent's area, certainly a bit beyond halfway, then the long
Mm,
throw specialist, and there's only usually one in a team,
mm,
trudges up from defence very often to get the
mm,
ball. Now, that's actually a long passage of time. And then he
mm,
sort of gets the ball, he sticks it under his shirt to dry it, and then it comes out. And then he sort of
mm,
looks and walks around and walks back. And
mm,
all of that taking a heck of a long time. So I
mm,
think it will largely cut out the long throw. Whether
mm,
that's a good thing, I don't know, because the rule will fundamentally change some elements of how the game is played. So
mm,
that's one thing that I think will, unless the player who does the long throws is there when it
mm,
goes out, etc. But normally your colleagues, the attackers, the strikers, they all have to sort of jostle around, get in the position, and it is a long and drawn out thing. And sometimes it is quite good to watch these long throws. So I think that will stop. And I think also with the 5 seconds, the nature of how the game resumes will change as well,
mm,
because they won't really worry about finding their own teammate. That's what they're going to aim for, but everybody's usually marked up anyway. So
mm,
I think we're going to see a fundamental change, that a throw in
mm,
won't really be an advantage to the team that gets it anymore. Now, that may
mm.
or may not be a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jerome going.
Yeah, yeah,
Cheers,
Jerome's going.
Jerome.
Yeah, I got to go now, guys. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
All right.
See you next
Well,
week.
good
See
to
you
see
next
you,
week.
Jerome.
All right, you
Well
take
done.
care.
Thank
See
you
you
very
next
Bye.
week.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Right. So, yeah. I was gonna say about when I was watching the England match, England play Ukraine last night, women's, and I think it was the World Cup qualifiers, and they played Ukraine. And this player came on, Chloe Kelly, she was substituted. No, she came on as a substitute. When it was time for a throw, and she just picked up the ball and threw it. And I'm thinking, 5 second rule, has he started already?
Mm.
Because she got that
Straight
ball
away.
back
Yeah.
into play straight away. And yeah, well, maybe they've started practice. Either they've started practicing it, or they've implemented it already in the women's game. And by the way, did anyone see that game last night? Women's
Yeah, I
game?
saw it. I saw some of it
Yeah,
anyway. Yeah.
yeah. England. Well, we did well. But I was just wondering why we did so poorly against
Yeah.
Spain
Spain.
in the previous match. But anyway, we did beat Ukraine 3-0. So that was comforting to watch.
Mind you,
Um,
they've got to go into playoffs, haven't they? And
they've got to go,
I
yeah,
believe there's 2 rounds of 2 leg games. So
yeah,
it's yeah, quite a bit more activity just to get into the actual finals next
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, I was watching. I'm gonna watch the Spain one, and I thought you've got to just win this or just draw. That would have been
yeah.
enough for us. But anyway. So players who receive treatment on the pitch must then leave the pitch and wait 1 minute before returning. What do you think? What do you make of that, the enforcer, Tony?
Well, a lot of like today as well, there are players who just use it as time wasting. They say, "Oh,
Mm,
I've got cramp." Oh no, Cunha, our player at Manchester United, does it a lot. I'll be honest. If I was on the opposition team playing against Cunha and he was doing that, I would be annoyed. So, I mean, coming on now that it's coming into implement, like no, like if you are injured, you have to come off. Fair enough. Now this is it because it's going to stop a lot of time wasting. And yet again, all of these are in for a reason, and like a lot of teams use it as time wasting, especially if they're winning. Arsenal do it a lot sometimes as well. Because they're already 1-0 up, and they can't get that other goal because they're not really the best, are they? So it helps when, especially if you like just need one goal just to even the odds, or if you're at a draw, you just need that one extra goal to win. It's gonna help you out massively because you haven't got someone rolling on the floor pretending to be, injured.
mm,
So it'll be good. It's needed a lot. It is needed in this day and age of football.
mm, mm. Yeah, bro, please.
Yeah, I mean, one of the frustrating things when you're at the game and you see often in the last 15 minutes,
Mm,
players again from the side that's either winning or they're drawing if they're against the better side. Suddenly, a player will just sit down on the pitch, and the crowd sort of, oh, it's a corporate. Oh God, what's going on now? But you sense it's done deliberately to either break the momentum of the other team as they're doing a bit better, or
mm,
you're just playing the time out, although it's often added on. So I
mm,
think it may well do away with that. If they get treatment, they got to go off for 1 minute. The
mm,
only sort of, yeah, on balance, it's a good thing. The only caveat I'd have is though that obviously cannot apply to the goalkeeper, and very often it is the goalkeeper who goes down. Often, when there's a flurry of activity against his goal, and the other team has got a lot of momentum, likely to score, so the goalkeeper sits down. Now, they're not always faking. I'm not suggesting that, but it
mm,
is used as a ploy. So there needs to be I think, some arrangement because
mm,
otherwise, instead of seeing players in the outfield players going down in
mm,
this way, the goalkeeper will, and there can't be a sanction against him or
mm,
her because they can't just leave the pitch. So
mm,
they've got a license to do whatever they want. So in a
mm,
way, to me, that undermines the law. But the new law, having said that, if it does stop players on the outfield going down, a bit, you know, fake in a fake way, then I
mm,
think it's got to be a good thing. All of these rule changes, I think, have gone through a lot of discussion and probably pilots and all the rest of it. So it's got to
mm,
be good. Anything that can speed things up as long as you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, that you impose rules which maybe take something of the excitement or the ability to think for a few moments, say with the throw
mm,
in or
mm,
whatever. I mean, one rule that if we go back for a couple of years ago, which was changed, was that if the goalkeeper has the ball in his hands for more than 8 seconds, he
mm,
concedes a corner. Now, I think in the early days of that rule, it may only have been this season, but it may be 2 seasons. I
mm,
think it happened. I saw it twice, not in quick succession. I've
mm,
never seen it since. Now, whether the referees give a generous view of 8 seconds, because there are times the goalie does seem to have it in his hands for more than that.
mm,
So, as long as they do apply these rules fairly strictly, but fairly, it
mm.
can be good for the game. And I think that was good because goalkeepers sometimes did hold on to the ball because they knew nothing could change that. So let's hope these new rules actually have a beneficent effect.
Yeah. Of course, another thing that I was thinking about was the Sven, not Christian Eriksen
Yeah.
incident, and I'm thinking, well, what if a player suddenly feels lightheaded, and just and just wants to just sit down for a bit. Because sometimes you see a player fall to the ground, they sit on the ground, and then before the medical team gets there, they're up on their feet. Maybe they just need that, you know. So, well, we'll see how it goes anyway. Let's hope it works. So the next one is VAR will now be allowed to review incidents involving second yellow cards and corners if there is a clear mistake. Now, what do we make of that? The enforcer, please.
I feel like it is good to have because I'll be honest, Qatar shouldn't even be in this competition right now at all. What happened was there was a thing on Twitter I saw. It was India versus Qatar for the for World Cup qualifiers, and it was literally last minute goal. And what happened was the ball went out of the goalie side, from India's side, which should have been a goal kick. But
Mm,
for some reason, uh, somehow they hit it and they kept it in, even though it was technically the ball was fully out, but because how close it was to the line, it looked like it was in, but it
mm,
wasn't. So the ball was kept in and it went. The goal it stood. They
mm,
took the ball, got the ball in the net, and it
mm.
stood. So even the referee, they saw VAR, but apparently they said it wasn't out, which we could all see on the actual video. The ball was out.
Yeah.
So if VAR can come in now and properly get into like investigation of these things, I think it'd be
Yeah.
a good thing because yet again, India hasn't been in the World Cup for years now. I think it's like 50 years or something like that. And because of that
Mm,
little instance, they were out. That stupid
mm,
instance that should have never stood in the first place,
Mm.
you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So stuff like this, and obviously second yellows as well. Sometimes a player can, just lose his head for a second and just put his foot out, and
Mm,
another player will see, oh, I can see him doing that. I'm just going to do it on purpose, invite him in, and he'll get a second yellow. So it's stuff like that as well in football where, VAR could step in and just stop it because the amount of times we've had the second yellow because of a little hair pull or something
mm,
else as Manchester United. It's VAR should come in and say, look, we had a look over. This is the proper thing. It shouldn't be, oh, yeah, fair enough, yellow card, send him off.
mm,
It's not fair on a lot of players, and especially in this competition when it comes to World Cup. If it happens to like let's say the smaller clubs like let's say was it Cape Verde? I think they're in on Curacao and all these type of nations. If it happens to them, because sometimes they can get overzealous, especially when they're playing with passion. It could happen where they make a mistake, so it could potentially help them.
yeah. That's I would have loved to see India back in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only place I seem to see them is on cricket. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see them on football. Yes, bro, please.
Yeah, I mean, anything with VAR that helps the eventual decision to be right is obviously a good thing.
Mm,
Ultimately, we are in the hands of the referees, who are the VAR refs and his team at the time. And there have been some, I mentioned fairly recently, there have been some pretty poor decisions
mm,
admitted and apologised for VAR errors in our country. One
mm,
that involved Palace against Bournemouth, which was given as a penalty on the pitch, uh, went to VAR because you could see in real time it wasn't a penalty. I mean, I won't go through the whole thing, but it wasn't a penalty. So why the ref gave it, I don't know. It went to VAR, and I won't say who the ref was, either of them, but um, it was 2 or 3 minutes, and you think, hang on, what are they looking at? Because people were looking at their phones. I mean, you could see it wasn't a penalty quite clearly. And I thought, well, the least they're going to do, the guy, the VAR ref will send the ref to the touchline to look in the screen. But he didn't. He just backed up the referee's decision. Now, I knew it would happen, but a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, that was
mm.
one of the decisions that the PGMOL, the refs people, profusely apologised for, because it was manifestly a wrong refereeing decision, an even bigger mistake. It was backed up by the VAR ref, and he wasn't even sent to the side. And you think, does the VAR ref actually know the rules? If there's any doubt the whole benefit is if you think the ref's got it wrong, you send him to the side. He doesn't have to change his decision, but more often than not, they do, because that's the benefit of VAR. So my point really is that you are in the hands of whoever's doing the VAR stuff. I mean, my experience on watching, say, European games is that without doing down on our people, but very often the European version of VAR is a bit more efficient. It's quicker, it's snappier, and you sense they get the right decision. That said, I'm sure a majority of decisions, to be fair, in our Premier League are correct. I think, the refs generally do know what they're doing, as do the refs on the pitch. So I think they do get it right mostly. But that's not the point. If you get a few contentious decisions, which then you have to apologise for, and as you said, Tony, someone is not at the World Cup who should be because of a terrible decision, well, then any way that VAR can help to eradicate that has got to be a move forward. So personally, I would stick with VAR. I think overall it's a very positive thing. It's easy to forget that most decisions are correct, but you just hope for a good standard of VAR refs in the World Cup and then next season in the Premier League as well.
That's what we hope for, don't we? VAR, I'm starting to love VAR because what would you do without VAR now? But it's like the mobile phone, isn't it? We never used to have the mobile phone. I know I'm not talking about you, Tony, because you're too young to remember that. Well, we never used to have the mobile phone. And now we have the mobile phones. We can't do without it. So I think the VAR has sort of grown on us, hasn't it? Now, players with jury that cannot be removed from their body will be forced to tape up the area to reduce injury risk. So players with jury. What we thinking?
They do that anyway, don't they? You see them, their rings, their red wedding ring or whatever ring, they're taped round. And I think they tend not to wear bracelets or watches, but I don't see too many with studs in their faces, that sort of thing. But I thought is that a new rule, are you saying? Because I thought that applied anyway.
Well, that's one of the FIFA new rules for 2026 World Cup.
I'm surprised.
I thought it was already part of it,
Yeah.
You don't usually see players with like jewelry on anyways.
No. You would think that was common sense, wouldn't you? But then when you're getting players coming from places like, I don't want to mention any country, but when you see players coming from countries that's never been in the World Cup, that's never really, maybe football is not really their country's thing. Like India, for instance, if they'd qualified and they want to wear their jewelries, I think they have to be reminded of these rules. So maybe that's what they're
there
doing.
are times where some players like forget like they've got a ring on or they've got like a necklace or something. It happens, But
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't think a lot of players are getting like studs in like the eyebrows or their lips or like their nose or something,
Nose rings and things, yeah.
Unless, of course, maybe they generalize in the women's football as
I'm gonna
well.
say if it's for the women, I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah, maybe
True.
they generalize in it for the women's football. Now, penalties in 5 World Cups between these two players, Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Now it says Ronaldo has had 3 penalties awarded to him in 5 World Cups, as against penalties in the World Cup in 2022 alone, World Cup, 5 for Lionel Messi. Is there a sort of a discrepancy here?
Of course. I've always said before, Argentina is backed by FIFA all the way. Literally in that World Cup, Messi scored with a goal with his hand. And it was against Netherlands. Van Dijk saw it. He literally said, he scored it with his hand. And they said, oh, no, it's a goal. And his face, when I think we're all who was watching it were like, what on earth is going on here? Even you could see it all over Van Dijk's face. He was like, well, this is rigged. This is completely rigged. Thankfully, they came back. They got the goal. But let's say they didn't get that goal. And because of that one handball goal that Maradona did previously.
Yeah, Maradona as well, yeah.
Imagine, because of that goal that stood, because of that hand,
Yeah.
what would have happened then? You know, it wouldn't have been fair to Netherlands at all because of what? Because he's Messi. Oh yeah, it's Messi, it's a carry, just let him go. That's not fair. Because there are other players who would get off with just the tiniest bit off, like let's say it touched his shoulder and goes, oh no, it's handball, sorry, you can't do that. You know, it makes no sense. Why is there more rules for, let's say, Messi than there is someone else? And how they're getting these penalties and stuff like that, especially during the World Cup that time. It happened with us against it was Argentina versus Croatia, and Livakovic stood his ground, stopped the ball, but because he was that strong, you know, physically, he stopped. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Alvarez, and Alvarez went straight into him and said, "Oh yeah, that's a penalty." How is that a penalty? Because you stopped a player. Yeah, the ball wasn't even going in the net anyways. You know, Livakovic is a goalkeeper. His whole point is to stop the ball. Fair enough. He didn't. I think he got like a few little like fingertips to it, but you know, because he's a strong guy and Alvarez fell to the floor, it counted as a penalty. So this is why I'm saying these things need to be, you know, further investigated, or if it's not getting investigated, you know why it's not getting investigated, because it's corruption. Again, I'll keep saying there is corruption when FIFA is involved because it makes no sense, you know?
Yeah. Just briefly, bro. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And I think, in a way, it brings into focus another element of this, that's talking about the game Tony mentioned before, where the ball had clearly gone out, but it wasn't adjudged to have been out, and it resulted in a goal, which in turn resulted in one team not being actually in the final. Now, what that to me brings into focus is, and it's not just football, I guess you could say it's the same thing in life, where such a catastrophic mistake is made on the football pitch. And by catastrophic, I mean a manifestly wrong decision. Something's been missed by the linesman or the ref or whatever. And that has resulted in something catastrophic, like a team not actually getting to a tournament like the World Cup, the Euros. Or you could actually argue domestically, a team is relegated from, say, a division because of a completely wrong decision, an error, be it by VAR or the ref or the linesman. Should there be some sort of fail-safe or fallback system which says in such circumstances, and I guess you'd have to outline what they must be. They've got to be pretty extreme, as we said, relegation or not qualifying for something. Then should there be a fallback system which says we'll replay that game?
100%.
In other words, or do we simply say the rules are sacrosanct in life? You know, the laws of the land, we can understand that. But again, in the laws of the land, if someone is, I don't know, caught for speeding, and this does happen, and then it turns out the cameras or the policeman with the camera, actually it wasn't properly calibrated, people get an appeal and they can be let off of that, quite rightly so. And I just wonder if, you know, if there should be something along those lines in football, that where something is so clearly wrong and it has a strong detrimental effect on a team or a player who gets sent off, say, then, you know, in football, in the Premier League, the remedy is if someone gets sent off and then it turns out on review they shouldn't have been, they get an apology. Well, that's no good, is it, really? Because that's not going to change anything. You could argue if it was a significant sending off, then maybe the game should be replayed. So that's all I'm saying, that maybe such mistakes, because it's so unfair on the team that suffers or the player that suffers, maybe there should be something in extreme circumstances you can replay the match. But that's just a personal view.
Yeah, maybe a deduction of point or something. But anyway, this is all we've got time for in this segment of the football referee. Do you want to conclude for us, Tony?
Well, this is the end of the first segment. Stay tuned for the second segment coming up very soon. I am Tony the Enforcer, and they call him Bruv.
I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
And I'm Emmy Hickens, and he called me Cuz. Calls me Cuz. Yeah, Cuz, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
So I'll see you in the second segment.
See
Oh
you in a minute.
dear. We'll get it right sometime.